Seminal zombie apocalypse thriller The Walking Dead may have a truncated first season, but the show's first 6 episodes certainly pack a punch. Even more importantly, they introduce many of the main characters whose journeys we follow across the subsequent 10 seasons of the series. It's fair to say that most of The Walking Dead's best characters are introduced in Season 1, which tracks the immediate aftermath of zombie walkers taking over the planet, from the perspective of people in the greater Atlanta area of the southeastern United States. The season's plot unites disparate groups of survivors to form a single nucleus of core characters. Alongside the perilous danger posed by walkers longing for the taste of human flesh, the season explores interpersonal dynamics between those who are still living. The apocalyptic scenario into which survivors have been hurled causes fissures to appear in relationship, but also allows for new bonds to form. Those who've seen the show before have to face some harsh realities when rewatching The Walking Dead Season 1, 2, particularly when it comes to the unfulfilled potential of certain characters the season introduces to us. For several of those featured in this list, the first season proves to be their series highlight. For others, though, it's just the beginning. Ed Pelletier, violent and abusive husband. If he weren't so inconsequential, Ed Pelletier would be one of The Walking Dead's most hated villains. An abusive husband who oppresses, controls, and beats his wife, Carol, Ed gets his just desserts before Season 1 is over with. He has no redeeming features as a character, simply serving as the catalyst for Carol to unlock her dark side. Miguel, the loudmouth kid of the Vatos. It's the appearance of Miguel in Episode 4 that introduces us to The Walking Dead's retirement community, run by the Vatos gang to which he belongs. An unruly teenager who seemingly endangers anyone he comes into contact with, he still has his charms, and provides some comic relief during Rick, Glenn, and Daryl's return to Atlanta. Morales, a likable member of the group. While he may have ended up becoming one of Negan's vicious underlings, Morales is far from a villain when he first appears in The Walking Dead. Without being especially remarkable as a character, he's just a fundamentally decent person who looks after his family and lends a hand defending the group from walkers when required. Guillermo, he listens to his grandmother. The leader of the gang taking care of a retirement community in Atlanta during the 4th episode, Guillermo is one of the best Walking Dead characters with minimal screen time. The way he pivots from ruthless gangster to obeying his elderly grandmother in an instant is positively heart-melting, and could have begun one of the show's most intriguing subplots. Jackie, a quiet but calming presence. Jackie's decision to stay with Dr. Edwin Jenner at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, kills her off too soon into The Walking Dead, but we still catch glimpses of a bigger character waiting to be born. For instance, her observation that the women of the main group have been lumped with domestic chores cuts through perfectly. Merle Dixon, The Walking Dead's first real antagonist. Before The Walking Dead turns Merle's relationship with his brother Daryl into something more complicated, he fits the bill as the show's first genuine antagonist. A racist hothead who threatens the rest of the group in Atlanta before Rick stops him, Merle seems to have gotten what was coming to him, until it transpires that he's escaped without his hand. Jim, the family man who lost everything. One of Season 1's most tragic figures, Jim is the member of the group most visibly afflicted with grief and post-traumatic stress disorder after watching his family be eaten by zombies. To make matters worse, he gets bitten himself just a few episodes in. Even if he doesn't feature much in the show, he certainly deserves our empathy. Daryl Dixon, better than his brother but not fully transformed. Season 1 of The Walking Dead casts Daryl Dixon as a potential villain of the piece, but we begin to witness his transformation into a more selfless and reasonable person by its conclusion. Daryl isn't like his brother, Merle, as becomes increasingly obvious in later seasons. In the first 6 episodes, however, he's still a relatively minor and antagonistic character. Carol Pelletier, a long-suffering wife and mother. Only in the moment when she bludgeons her dead husband's skull repeatedly do we get a glimpse of Carol Pelletier's darker side in The Walking Dead during this first season. Otherwise, she's the put-upon wife to a monstrous abuser, whose personality doesn't yet flourish at this point of the series. Carl Grimes, he shows strength beyond his years. Carl Grimes shows signs of being The Walking Dead's strongest character even in these early episodes of the show. His standout moment of Season 1 is when his mother asks whether he's worried about his father, before admitting that she is. It's Carl who ends up reassuring her, by reminding her of all Rick has managed to survive already. Dr. Edwin Jenner, the medical professional they were looking for. The Walking Dead's creator Robert Kirkman now regrets introducing the CDC plotline so early in the show, given how important it is to the rest of the story. But this plotline undoubtedly makes Dr. Edwin Jenner the standout minor character of the season, as he reveals the horrifying truth about the Walker epidemic to Rick Grimes. Laurie Grimes, she finds herself in a tough spot. The death of Laurie Grimes in The Walking Dead Season 3 remains one of the show's most controversial moments, But her Season 1 storylines divide fans almost as much. Laurie's relationship with her husband's best friend just days after hearing that he's died inevitably sours when he turns up alive, and her handling of the situation isn't a good look. Amy, the funniest member of the group until her tragic end. If The Walking Dead takes shocking character deaths too far, then the end of Amy in Season 1 is the first major example of this pattern in the series. Amy is sweet, funny, and occasionally outspoken right up to the moment of her tragic demise on the way back from the bathroom. Her sister Andrea is never the same again. Theodore T-Dog Douglas he doesn't hold a grudge. T-Dog is one of The Walking Dead's most underused characters, even during the show's first season. His attempt to save Merle Dixon despite the violently racist abuse he suffers from him is one of the single most heroic actions of Season 1, even if it doesn't quite come off. From that moment on, we're rooting for him over virtually any other character. Morgan Jones, Rick's first savior. The only original Walking Dead character without a spin-off of his own, Morgan Jones is an underappreciated fan favorite who becomes the first survivor Rick Grimes meets during the zombie apocalypse. The ordeal of Morgan watching his zombified wife walking aimlessly outside his window is one of the most moving moments of the entire series.